New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy. Calvin Johnson says that he doesn't want to sign anybody this January transfer window. But there are two very specific areas that Kaizer Chiefs actually need to strengthen, according to many people. But some people are also adding this other third area, which we'll also discuss. And it would be interesting to also hear from you guys if you think there's any other area where Kaizer Chiefs need to strengthen in this January transfer window. Starting obviously with the left back position. Because think about it, what does Hlanti actually bring in games? Like you look at how he plays, Mnomzana Hlanti. It's not like inkomo. You understand that there's a difference between inkomo, someone who doesn't know how to play football at all, which Uhlanti is not because he's very capable of playing football. It's just that it seems like it's either he's tired or he doesn't care. But Vele, why would he care? He doesn't have competition. His only competition is currently playing as a left centre back. That is at Milson Dove. And whenever he plays as a left back, he ends up getting injured. So clearly, playing as a left back is not a good idea for Edmilson Dove. You look at another player who can play as a left back, Uhepi Mashiane. Yes, mostly some people will say he should be playing as a winger. But as we see, there is Utoli there is Utupri, there is Umodi, there is Usaile. So there's no space for him to play as a winger, which leaves the left fullback position for him to play. Once again, it doesn't seem like the coaches think that's a good idea to play him there. You have another option once again, which would be to take Ure Frosler and play him as a left back, and that would also provide an opportunity for Dylan Solomons to start as a right back. And since in any case, what we do with Hlant, we don't make him overlap, but what we do try to do is make him invert into midfield. We could always benefit from moving Frosler into midfield during our build-up phase, because then we're overloading a midfield. And also Frosler can pick a pass from central areas. Look at what Trent is doing for Liverpool. Obviously, I'm not saying Trent and Frosler at the same level, but I am saying that Frosler used to give us those very good passes from the midfield or doing from passes from wide. And it's clear that if you give him a position whereby he can drift into midfield and then he can pick passes with a wider angle, because now you can pass the ball to the right, he can pass the ball to the left, he can pass the ball in front of him. That's a much more, what can I say, wide range of passes that he can pick from that position. But right now what we're seeing from Frosler is next to nothing. So you might as well play him as at left back if you don't want to sign anyone. But if really you are not satisfied with Hlanti, which I think they are, but what would make sense for most people is that thinking we should be bringing in a left back who's actually going to come in and start playing that position. Because let's think about it, right? If Calvin Johnson stays until the end of the season and he ends up being the coach, does it not then make sense to bring in a left back of his choice right now in January, so that since it seems like he's going to be the coach even next year, then you might as well give him the players that he wants right now, so that by the time we get to June, the system, the players who are suited to his style of play are already there. And one player that people are pointing at right now is Ufawa's Pasadine Stellenbosch. We know that the deal will not be too difficult to do because it's Stellenbosch. The problem is how much will it cost, because the man just won a cup with Stellenbosch. The man is very crucial in Stellenbosch's plans. And think about it, Stellenbosch are fourth in the league, once again ahead of Kaizer Chiefs. And think about it, they do want to play in the continental competition, so they might want to finish in the third spot, or even be as ambitious as to say, why not finish second? SuperSport is shaking, Pirates is behind us, Chiefs are behind us, so why not? Why sell our best players? Because at some point you have to think about this, Uguti. Yes, the business model of Stellenbosch does seem to be, let's develop talent and sell them on, which is exactly what Dortmund are doing. They are taking players and selling them. And let's come back to South Africa, because some of you don't like when I make examples with European teams. But come back to South Africa. You look at Stellenbosch, let me just use them as the main example. And then you look at Swallows. Swallows right now are having financial difficulties because they are not getting sponsors and all of that. But beyond that, there is also a fact that is Stellenbosch, they stuck to their business model, even when they saw that they are succeeding. But even though they are owned by a billionaire, he doesn't have to be putting money and pumping money from time and time again because they're struggling. No, they are sticking to that business model, and it shows that they are run by a billionaire who knows how to handle money because he's not going to spend if he doesn't have to. If there is another way of developing players from your development, then why not do that? You look at Swallows on the other hand, they went out and they got Abo Charlie, Abo Mango, and all these other players who are on huge salaries, and now they're struggling to pay everyone else because, well, they're not getting sponsors. But what if they were also adopting a business model of let's develop our own players, and then since players from development don't get paid as much as players who have proven themselves like Abu Andy Lechal, then that thing is more sustainable. But as much as that's a business model that they've been sticking to, you have to think at some point they will say, you know what, this is there for the taking. Why stick to something that is obviously working but at the same time harming us? Because if we keep Favaz Basadin as Stellenbosch, then what that ends up happening is that we have good players who are going to help us go deep in these continental competitions. They might think about it, but then again, I don't think they will go that route. They will just continue doing exactly what they're doing right now because once again, it works for them. So in the Baga Favaz Basadin, that could be possible. The question is, can Chiefs afford him? Because I'm not sure how much he will cost Kaizer Chiefs at this point. And number two, is Johnson really right about him not wanting any players? I know he did say that, but at the same time, he's the same person who had said that he didn't want the Kaizer Chiefs job. But then 3 weeks after that, he comes out, he is clearly showing that he wants the job. So things change. So I'm not just going to say, yeah, it's fine, they're not going to do anything. So that's the first position. The second position, which I don't want to agree with because it's kind of difficult. Ne? So think about it. You have Ngoseng Pile Ngobo, you have Lehlo Honolo Matlo as a man number 10. People are complaining about us not creating enough chances as Kaizer Chiefs. And they are saying that the main problem is the fact that we don't have a number 10, basically. I'm like, Ukon Umshini, but the setup is not that great. If Umshini is not working on his own to be as creative as we want to be, I saw something El Capitan on Twitter ishilo ukuthi if we played Umatlo Machine in the same game to see what happens, because you are adding more creativity, because it's not like teams when abadlala ne Chiefs, as much as they still fancy themselves ukuthi they might get something out of the game through the counters or some situations, but they don't go out guns blazing all the time, which means we are the ones who are actually in more need for creativity. But when we do play abadlali lapha, we only play one creative midfielder, and that is Nkosing Pilengcobo. Now, Umart can provide, Castillo can provide goals, yes, but still is not as creative as Umsheni or as creative as Umatlo. There is also Sabelo Hatebe in the bench. Those three players are the ones who are actually and can be capable, even Umtutu Shabalala, to create something in that midfield area, but they are not getting enough game time. So I do think, excluding Mushin, that is because Mushin has been playing in recent games. So to me, I say to myself, what if we started giving these other creative midfielders a chance? Because even right now in South Africa, we have a midfield crisis. Right now, we are going to the CAF, to AFCON, and our hopes are all resting on Tembazwane as a number 10. Who else is at number 10 with Chiefs? I also forgot Mtutu Mtanzane. But who else is the number 10 in South Africa in general? It's only Tembazwane, and then you look, it's cricket. Who else is as creative as him? Or tries to in his prime, because this season he hasn't been great. You look around, you like, yo, akho muntu yazi, akukho muntu ngempela. And obviously people will say, oh, but Police and other few players, but it's very, very limited. If you think about it, there are very few players who can play that position and do well. But you have seen that Matlo did have glimpses under Unsegi, but now it's just been completely thrown out. So I would say it would be difficult to get a number 10, because we let Tunyamendieta go as well to Sundown. So it's really going to be difficult. So in that sense, I would say the people and the players that we have are the ones that we have to do with, because without them, we then have to go out and spend a lot of money, and I think we'll have to go outside of the country, which comes to the next point. But before we go to the next point, do the nice things. You know, the nice things, the liking, the subscribing, the following, all those nice things, you know. And also do let me know, Guti, do you think Kaizer Chiefs should be giving more game time to Matlo and Sabelo Hatebe, or those players are not good enough and we should go out and sign another player? Same thing with Ushanti. I asked you, do you think we should just play Uri Frosler as a left back, or you think we should just go out and buy Upasatin? Now, on to the next one, we're going to talk about the striker situation, because what is happening right now with Chiefs, we've seen clearly that Uranga scored a goal, but I don't think the coach favors him, because even when he does play Umkipango 60, he's the only Chiefs were always complaining about how late they make subs. But the sub that is always made the earliest than all of them, it's either Saile or Ranga. Those ones are always substituted. And he did get minutes in the last game and he did score a goal. Batu Gonzalez is also not looking make sure to most people. But then I ask myself, who can we go out and get as a number 9 right now? Who can we get? Because to me, I think the number 9 position relates so much to the number 10 position. Because if we can fix the creativity problems, then it would be easier to see how horrible our strikers are. Because if we are creating chances and missing them, then it's easy to dismiss the strikers. But if we are not even creating chances for the strikers, then how can we dismiss the strikers for not doing their job? Because they cannot do their job without the ball. Yes, they can do a movement of the ball and stuff like that. And Utupri Umandla made a comment, I think 2 days back, about that fact that Utupri might not be the biggest and the good and in terms of the size and being in the box and just having that presence of scoring goals, but it does make and create space for other players who are playing around him. To which I responded that yes, I get that a player like Dupree can do that and manufacture space for other people. But I still believe that Dupree is not a player who should be creating space for other players. He's more of a player who should be getting on the ball more and then putting players under pressure, dribbling past them, winning as fouls. Because now if his job is to just uktitisama defender and then try to move them around, then we are kind of losing someone who could potentially do something for us. It's not a bad thing to create spaces for other people. We see other strikers do it. Like Ufemino did it for Salah no Mane. He would drop into midfield, collect the ball, and then pass the ball to Mane or Salah, and then it's a goal. But irole yakhe was defined ukuthi he was a playmaker in a team that did not really play playmaker, because Liverpool bekuno Henderson, kuno Fabinho, kuno Wijnaldum. None of those players are creative. All of them are more athletic. They work hard. They are not, they are not trying to create chances, but they are more focused on pressing and winning the ball back. Jurgen Klopp once said the best number 10 is counter pressing. Basically, the best way to create chances for your team is by pressing the ball while the other team has the ball near their 18 area, because then you press them, you win the ball back, and then you can create goal scoring opportunities from there. So I do think that with Kaizer Chiefs having a player like Nkosimpile Ngcobo, having Umatlo, players who can be creative, then we can use a number 9 who will be there and then will be getting balls from midfield. But again, that's what I think. But what do you think about the number 9 situation? Do you think we should be playing Dupree? Maybe we should try Saile or Modi? I don't know. That's on you. Do let me know down on the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, equals Alpelumoy.